There is a secret conflict that emerges for those on a genuine spiritual journey, one that is rarely discussed in the open, and it presents a profound paradox. The closer you feel you move toward the light of awareness, the more you may find yourself grappling with a deep primal energy within. Why would someone dedicated to higher consciousness find themselves locked in such an intimate struggle with raw human desire? What I'm about to share is not a simple spiritual pep talk. This is about confronting the entire landscape of our nature, not just the comfortable, presentable parts. The first thing we must understand is this: true spiritual awakening does not make you less of a human being. It makes you more intensely human. Your senses come alive, your perception sharpens. You become aware of more the subtle and the obvious, the transcendent and the grounded, the serene and the passionate. Think of your life before any real inner shift. You were navigating the world in a kind of haze. Your feelings were muted, your experiences filtered. Awakening is like wiping the fog from a window. Suddenly, colors are brighter, sounds are richer. The texture of life is felt with a new intensity. And yes, the pull of desire is also felt with a new, undeniable force. This is the initial key. Spiritual clarity amplifies your entire experience. The same awakened perception that allows you to sense a universal connection also makes you acutely aware of your own physical being and its powerful urges. Awakening doesn't silence the body. It turns up its volume. The ancient traditions sometimes got this backwards. They assumed enlightenment would transcend the flesh, but the reality is the opposite. A person who is truly aware feels everything more profoundly: peace and turmoil, compassion and craving, a love for all, and a very specific human wanting. So you find yourself a seeker of truth, suddenly confronting waves of desire stronger than you recall, and you assume you are failing. You believe you are regressing. But in truth, you are simply becoming more present, more sentient, more completely alive. The challenge is not to cease feeling, but to learn how to hold your feelings without letting them steer you. Now, let's explore the second reason. And this one touches a deep vulnerability. Those who begin to see the world differently often find themselves in a place of solitude, not from a place of superiority, but because their vision has changed. The ordinary distractions lose their appeal. Superficial talk feels empty. The relentless pursuit of status and possessions seems like a game they can no longer play. And so they step back from the noise, or the noise excludes them. The result is often a profound sense of isolation. And loneliness is a specific and powerful ache. When you have no one to share your deepest realizations with, when your insights would be met with confusion or judgment, you feel a separation that is uniquely painful. In this void, desire can appear as a bridge back to human contact. Even if it's an illusion of connection, even if it's hollow, it promises a momentary respite. The warmth of another person, the meeting of glances for a short time, the heavy cloak of loneliness seems to lift. Do you see the predicament? The very journey that brings you profound truth also takes you away from the crowd. And the human creature within you longs for contact, for understanding, for simple touch. Desire offers a deceptive answer. It pledges belonging, but often leaves you feeling more adrift than before. This is the hidden struggle of countless seekers, monks, and mystics throughout the ages. They left the world to find the divine, and they did, but they also encountered an immense solitude, and into that quiet space, desire would whisper, offering a fleeting companionship. The third reason is perhaps the most unsettling. As you genuinely awaken, you become a disruption, not necessarily to people, though sometimes that too, but to the entrenched energies that prefer humanity to remain asleep. Call them what you wish: shadow forces, the weight of collective unconsciousness, or simply inertia. Whatever their name, these currents do not want you to be free. They do not want you to see clearly. They do not want the ripple effect of your awareness to spread. And so they test you. They probe for vulnerabilities. They seek avenues to pull you back into the dream, back into the endless loop of craving and temporary satisfaction. The path of light is often met with shadows. Desire is a supremely effective tool for this. Why? Because it works. When you are consumed by wanting, when that energy courses through you, Your mind becomes clouded. Your meditation is scattered. Your prayer feels blocked. You are dragged entirely into the physical realm, into sensation, into the urgent need for fulfillment. The challenges often intensify as your awareness grows, not because you are failing, but because you are succeeding. You are waking up, and the forces of slumber do not release their captives easily. This is the real meaning behind the idea of a spiritual battle. It is not an allegory. It is the direct experience of anyone who strives to live with eyes wide, open in a world that often prefers to sleep. The conflict is genuine, the opposition is real, and raw desire is one of its most favored instruments because its effectiveness is terrifying. The fourth reason involves our old hurts, the wounds we carry from long ago, from childhood, disappointments, from past betrayals, from all the ways we were bruised before we had the strength to defend ourselves. Most people spend their lives avoiding these wounds. They are too sharp, too frightening to examine. But when you start to wake up spiritually, you can no longer ignore them. All the old sorrows rise to the surface. The fear of abandonment, the stains of shame, the deep-seated belief that you are fundamentally lacking. And here is the dynamic that unfolds. Desire presents itself as a salve for these wounds. It offers a temporary relief. When you are caught in the thrill of pursuit, when you feel desired, you can momentarily forget the pain. You feel validated. You feel significant. You feel for a brief instant that you are enough. But it is an illusion. Desire does not heal old pain. It merely masks it for a while. It is like applying a painkiller to a deep infection without treating the source. The sickness remains and can grow worse, because now you have added guilt to the original injury. Now you have the knowledge that you are engaging in something empty. Now you have layered fresh hurt upon the old. The awakened individual perceives this entire cycle. They see the wound. They see the desire rising to numb it. They see the regret that follows. And seeing it does not automatically stop it. Sometimes this very awareness makes it more acute, because you are conscious of the pattern even as you are enacting it. You are aware of the snare as your foot touches the trigger. Healing these core wounds demands a different approach. It requires facing them directly, staying present with them, allowing them to be felt without escaping into distraction or counterfeit comfort. This is profound work, the most difficult work there is. And many people, even those who are spiritually aware, would rather wrestle with desire than undertake this deeper journey of mending. Because desire, at least, offers fleeting pleasure. The work of healing offers only the pain of the wound, at least, initially. The fifth and final reason is the most contradictory of all. The very capacities that make you spiritually receptive also make you susceptible. When you possess heightened perception, when you can feel the unity of all life, you are vibrating at a very high level. Your consciousness is expanded. Your awareness is broad, but you still inhabit a physical form. You are still made of bone and blood. You are still subject to all the instincts and needs of the earthly self. And here is the strange truth. The higher your consciousness ascends, the more potent the gravitational pull toward the primal can become. It is as if existence itself seeks equilibrium. This is why so many spiritual guides, so many gifted teachers and healers have encountered scandals of a physical nature. Not because their spiritual insights were fraudulent, not because they were hypocrites, but because the combination of profound spiritual opening and an unintegrated physical self creates a precarious condition, like a deep-rooted tree without proper ground. The greater the height, the more dramatic the potential imbalance. The resolution to this is integration, but not the harsh, self-punishing kind of discipline that feels like a prison. Rather, the integration of caring for the whole being, spirit and body, mind and senses. You cannot only ascend into spiritual realms and neglect the necessities of the physical vessel. You cannot only contemplate and meditate and assume your earthly nature will manage itself. The body needs to be respected, nourished well, moved, rested, given wholesome touch and true connection, given outlets for creative force. When these needs are met in balanced ways, desire loses its overwhelming edge. When they are ignored or repressed, desire gains excessive power because it is attempting to address too many unmet needs at once. So, where does this leave us? How do we navigate this strange intersection of expanded spiritual sensitivity and potent physical urges? First, we cease the pretense that the tension does not exist. We stop pretending that awakened individuals are meant to exist entirely above this earthly complexity. The body is real, urge is real, and to engage a real challenge, we must first admit it is present. Second, we cease fighting in solitude. The isolation I described is a component of the trap. Desire flourishes in hidden places. It expands in secrecy. When we can locate just one other person to be truthful with, someone who will not shame us but will support us, the grip of desire begins to loosen. Not because speaking is a magical cure, but because isolation is what gives the struggle its strength. Third, we tend to our wounds. This means abiding with the pain instead of fleeing from it. This means experiencing the loneliness instead of sedating it with false intimacy. This means looking directly at the old rejections and hurts and allowing them to be witnessed and acknowledged. It is arduous work, but it is the only work that creates genuine healing. Fourth, we learn to sit with our desire without being compelled by it. This is perhaps the most advanced practice. When wanting arises, the impulse is to either indulge it or crush it. Both are reactive stances. Indulging leads to emptiness and regret. Suppressing leads to an eventual, more powerful eruption. The middle path is to simply remain present with the sensation, to feel the fire of the urge without being driven to act on it, to notice its nature, how it builds and recedes like a tide, to witness it as you would observe a weather pattern from a sheltered place. This requires immense inner strength, but it is in this space of mindful presence that real change occurs. Not because you are at war with the desire, but because you are neither indulging it nor fighting it. You are simply aware of it, and in that awareness, a transformation takes root. Finally, we remember that we are not defined by this conflict. We are not the urge, nor the shame, nor the struggle. We are the conscious space within which all of this unfolds, like the sky that holds the passing weather. Storms may arrive and depart. Clouds may form and dissolve, but the sky itself remains untouched and clear. When you can rest in this fundamental awareness, even briefly, the struggle loses its capacity to name you. Yes, desire may still emerge. Yes, the tension may persist, but you are no longer fused with it. You are no longer convinced that this challenge is the core of your identity. The spiritually aware grapple with desire not because they are failing, but because they are awake enough to experience the full spectrum of being human. They are sensitive enough to register every impulse, every current, every longing. And they are often isolated enough to face these forces without adequate support or community. But this very struggle, as difficult as it is, can become a profound instructor. It can reveal where we are hurt and require mending. It can show us our authentic need for genuine human bonds, not poor imitations. It can humble us, reminding us that we are spiritual beings having a human experience with all that entails. And it can deepen our empathy for every other person wrestling with their own inner conflicts and yearnings. The tension with desire is not proof of spiritual failure. It is often evidence of spiritual maturation, a growing into a fuller understanding of what it means to be both infinite consciousness and a finite creature, both awake and still, very much learning how to live within that awakening. So, be compassionate with yourself. Be truthful about the challenge. Seek support when it is needed. Tend to your old hurts. Practice being present with your urges without being governed by them. And remember, you are not walking this path alone. Every genuine mystic, every sage, every awakened soul has traversed this same difficult terrain. The flesh has its limitations, yes, but the spirit, when fully embraced, possesses a resilience that surpasses any passing craving. And the aware space that holds both flesh and spirit is the deepest truth of all. If this perspective resonated with you and provided a new lens on this inner dynamic, please support this channel by liking this video. It truly helps winds of thought reach other seekers. Thank you for watching.